Eileen Gu drops a photo with Caitlyn Clark, igniting a digital firestorm over the skier's allegiance to China. Fresh from an Olympics defined by triumph and friction, the American-born skier for Team China was spotted bonding with another lightning rod of women's sports. Gu unveiled the moment via an Instagram story featuring herself and Clark at Milan Fashion Week on a Thursday, barely letting the snow settle on her latest Olympic gold. The power duo was captured sitting shoulder to shoulder in the coveted front row at the Prada show. That single frame of two sporting titans split the internet, thrilling some fans while provoking outrage from critics still bitter about Gu's defecting to China despite her stateside upbringing. Why is Caitlyn tanking her own brand? Does she even have a PR team? One skeptic blasted on X. Another chimed in, absolute fumble by Caitlyn Clark. Conversely, a supporter cheered, you have a basketball legend sitting with an Olympic icon in Milan. Go Caitlyn, that's epic. Gu hit the fashion circuit immediately after the Milan Cortina Games wrapped, leaning into her double life as a model who has previously stormed the runways. This glitzy appearance arrived right after the star. Skier broke down sobbing after clinching gold in the women's halfpipe final on Sunday, confessing she had lost her grandmother just before the event. It capped an Olympic run where she performed under the crushing weight of the world's gaze, a consequence of her choice 7 years ago to wear China's colors. When pressed on whether she felt like a political punching bag for certain American factions, she didn't hesitate. I do, she admitted. She told USA Today that while plenty of athletes swap flags, they only come for me because they mash China into this one big villain and, well, they just hate China. So it's not really about the principle, it's about that, and the fact that I keep winning. If I were flopping, I doubt they'd give it a second thought. And I'm fine with that. Everyone gets to have their say. Meanwhile, Clark has morphed into a national obsession for many Americans, thanks to her wizardry on the hardwood and record-shattering feats in the WNBA and college. Yet, Clark hasn't escaped the crosshairs, drawing fire from a specific segment of the WNBA fandom and even her own peers. The heat on Caitlyn Clark largely boils down to her meteoric rise as the league's face, sparking friction with vets who feel her spotlight eclipses years of their own grind. The noise around Clark also touches on the racial dynamics of her stardom as a white woman dominating a historically black sport. While some observers claim Clark enjoys a softer ride, from the press because of her race, others counter that she's actually headhunted and physically battered by rivals during games. When the slopes collide with the court, Eileen Gu's snapshot with Caitlyn Clark and the messy intersection of fame, identity, and politics, in an era dominated by global celebrity culture, athletes aren't just judged by their stats on the snow or the paint. They inhabit the collective psyche of fans, media, and critics worldwide. That's why a fleeting Instagram update from Olympic ace Eileen Gu, featuring hoop sensation Caitlyn Clark, became something far heavier than a casual selfie. The picture provoked a spectrum of emotions, not just because two of the planet's biggest female athletes shared a lens, but because Gu's very existence has become a symbol for a massive cultural, political, and emotional tug-of-war spanning continents. To really grasp why, a simple image of two pros grinning at a post-Olympic gala triggered such wild feedback. We have to rewind the tape on Eileen Gu's ascent, her polarizing pivot to China, and the heavy baggage her name carries for millions. Eileen Gu, a tale of two flags on the world stage. A San Francisco native born to an American dad and a Chinese mom, Gu marked herself as a freestyle skiing prodigy before she could drive. She started out wearing the stars and stripes, but in 2019, she flipped the script to represent her mother's homeland, China, on the international circuit. Her pitch was that she wanted to ignite a winter sports boom among Chinese youth and act as a bridge between cultures. Since making the switch, Gu has carved her name as one of the most decorated freestyle skiers in history. At the 2026 Milan Cortina Games, she stacked more hardware, cementing her standing as a legitimate sports legend and one of the wealthiest female athletes on Earth, fueled by massive sponsorship deals. But choosing to ski for China, a nation that forbids dual citizenship and sits at the center of geopolitical tension, has turned her into a lightning rod for fierce debate. Detractors insist that wearing China's uniform, especially with rumors of heavy backing from state sports officials, is basically treason against the United States and a tacit endorsement of an autocratic government. Within specific American media bubbles and political factions, her choice wasn't just criticized, it was branded as a betrayal, bordering on straight-up treason. Adding fuel to the fire, Gu admitted she felt crushed by the massive pressure, describing the burden of balancing the hopes of two entire superpowers on her back. She intended to highlight her inner turmoil, yet critics twisted her words, claiming she was blurring the lines and disrespecting the unique pride of each nation. This chaotic tug-of-war between worship, hatred, and complicated feelings lays the groundwork for the moment Gu crossed paths with another titan of the sports world, Caitlyn Clark. Enter Caitlyn Clark, the hoops prodigy. While Gu rules the snowy peaks, Clark has absolutely revolutionized the hardwood, creating a global frenzy. The Indiana Fever Guard exploded into the mainstream with a college run that smashed records, dropping jaw-dropping highlights before tearing up the WNBA. But Clark's reach extends way past the three-point line. She stands as the face of a massive boom in women's athletics, sparking dreams in a whole new wave of young players, especially across America. Unlike Gu's controversy-filled international balancing act, Clark's stardom is built on pure on-court dominance and her deep connection to American sports heritage. Her following is absolutely rabid. She is a marketing juggernaut, transforming how people value the women's game. Then came the snapshot that refused to remain innocent. Given that context, seeing Eileen Gu and Caitlyn Clark posing together at a Milan Fashion Week event after the Olympics carried a heaviness the internet simply couldn't overlook. To the casual eye, it could have seemed like nothing more than two superstars enjoying some high-fashion downtime. But for others, it signaled a collision of two vastly different worlds. On one side, a winter sports legend whose career moves sparked fierce arguments over patriotism, loyalty, and global identity. On the other, a basketball virtuoso whose rise to the top has been universally cheered, completely free of geopolitical baggage. The digital world exploded as fans, pundits, and media heads flooded timelines with a wild variety of takes. First came the applause. Many viewed the picture as a tribute to female greatness that went far beyond borders, flags, or athletic disciplines. For these supporters, seeing Gu and Clark shoulder to shoulder represented the limitless ceiling for women in sports worldwide. Here were two prodigies who had conquered their respective games, crossing paths in a rare instance of shared admiration.